This story is from one of our viewers, Riza. If you like our videos, please consider to subscribe and press the bell notification icon to not miss any episodes. Thank you. This happened to me about a few years ago and I will never forget it. I was working in an office around Raffles Place. The building I'm in is quite old, but it's still well maintained. The day before, I was working quite long hours as we had this project and its deadline is 3 days later. I remember the time was around 8 PM at night. There was still a couple of my colleagues working with me till late, so the feeling of being scared was not present there. We all just continued doing our work, talking, ordering food, and just focusing on the assignment we had. We worked until the time was about 9:45 PM. Then one of my colleagues, Tom, said it's time for him to go home. We all said goodbye to him, but before he left, he said, "Don't stay too late, wait, the ghost will come." Puzzled by what he means, I asked my other colleague, "What does Tom means?" because I'm quite new. The other old-timer colleague said there was this one worker called Tan who used to work in this company. One day, he worked till quite late. If not wrong, the time was roughly around 12 midnight. The story is that Tan was with one colleague until 11 PM. At 11, his colleague said he's going home, but Tan still has a lot more things to do. So, he said he will stay here a bit longer, and then he will go off soon after. So the colleague left the office, saying goodbyes and telling Tan to remember to turn off the lights and air conditioner before leaving. Tan agreed and said goodbye to his colleague. If I'm not wrong, it was about 11:30 PM when Tan suddenly went to the toilet. The building was empty as everyone had gone home, so the corridors are like something from a horror movie. Tan went to the toilet and he felt something following him. Not thinking much, he continued his journey to the toilet to freshen up and went back to his office. He was not scared until he was doing his work, when suddenly he started to hear the sound of a girl crying. Tan stood up and looked around, seeing nothing there, when suddenly the office door opened and slammed hard. He froze for a moment and quickly packed up his stuff and quickly ran out of the office. Before leaving, he looked back just to see a big shadow figure in front of the door of the office. So, that was the story my colleague told me. Now, my story starts here. I was working till late night, about 8 PM with my other colleague, as we had to finish the assignment, trying to meet the deadline. At about 8 PM, my colleague told me he's going back early cause his wife called him. I had to stay longer as I had a bit more work to do. So, I told him, "You can go off first." I continued doing my work and everything was fine until the time was around 9 PM. While working, I suddenly felt as if there was a cold gust of wind around me. Not thinking much, I continued working. 10 minutes later, I suddenly got the urge to go to the toilet to pee. So I stood up and made my way to the toilet. While walking, I suddenly heard footsteps following me, and I remembered the story my colleague told me about Tan. I tried my best not to be scared and quickly ran towards the restroom. While inside, I quickly went to the cubicle, and after that, I went to the sink to wash my hands. While looking at the mirror and washing my hands, I suddenly heard sounds of a male person talking. It is impossible, as it is the ladies' restroom and there's no one in the office. Suddenly, the cubicle door behind me slammed I ran out as fast as I could and headed back to my office. Inside my office, I quickly shut down my computer and kept all my documents when suddenly, the office chair beside me started to turn. I stood there, frozen, watching it turn by itself. All hells broke loose when suddenly, the chair flew across the room and there were sounds of someone talking again. I quickly panicked, stood up and ran towards the door, not looking back, and started saying prayers. After I reached the lift lobby, I quickly took the lift down and booked a taxi to go home. The security guard was there and he looked at me scared, and I told him what happened. He told me that there was quite a number of complaints about workers who complained to him that there was people inside the office, but there was no one there. Soon after, my taxi arrived and I got in to go home. That is my story and hope you guys enjoy it. It was a terrifying experience, and since that day, I will never work till late night again in that office. So that was the story from Riza. All names in this story are not real to protect the identity. Hope you guys enjoy it, and please press the subscribe button to not miss any episodes. And do share it and like it. Thank you for listening to Supernatural Stories, and good night.